outline. So if you don't have that open, I'll throw it in the chat too. I think mostly tonight we're focused on what Judy needs.
About darn time. uh, all right, so I went through we have a template, the human readable template on Google Drive, so that we're working on it collaboratively. And then I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna give access and then put that link here in the chat, and then the other document that we're working on is a review of the verbs. So we've audited everything that PeBL generates. And I've gone through those. Like I was mentioning in the chat, the verb list was down every time that I hit it this week. And so I kind of went through the existing profiles, which was painful, and took a long time. But I'm pretty sure that I have a list of everything that resolves to an existing profile, even if it's a profile that we think should be deprecated. I went ahead and listed as resolved to a profile. And then there are some that I think are new. And then there are a few that I think need discussion. So if you want to go to the Google Sheets.
Yep.
So this is, by the way, this sheet is set up coming from the perspective of these are things that happen in PeBL content, or in the PeBL library, and then this is the verb for the statement that they generate. So it's not a list of verbs. So there are duplications, is what I'm saying.
I think if you want us to see where you're at in the document, it's best to share it from your side.
Sure. Yeah.
Can I
do that.
rein us back for a moment?
I'm sorry?
I just asked if I can rein us in for a moment. We've had Dunkin and Julian jump in. That's all right.
I'm off to the races, please.
And obviously you're focused.
I didn't even realize that there were like 10 people in here. Okay, cool. Great. Thank you. Welcome, everybody.
Morning. Or afternoon, wherever you are.
Thanks for having us.
So just to level set, Judy is focused on building a profile for her product, PeBL, that she manages. PeBL Pro, I should say. Give her the product to do. And that's sort of our focus for tonight's meeting. I have some agenda items that we'll need to try and slip in towards the back, but we were just sort of diving in, and people came in with that. I think all they saw was a splash after we jumped in, so I just wanted to give a chance for everybody to say hello and welcome.
Jason, I'm glad you're here.
Oh, hey, yeah, no problem. I just happen to be working, so I'm just like, I might as well tune in and
awesome.
See if I can be of any help.
I actually have been meaning to ping you because there are a number of our video-related things that resolve to the video profile, and there are some questions that I had about it, actually. So I was going to call you here to answer for your crimes.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm here.
Oh, and see, we were working with a video profile today.
You got my phone number too, so.
No, I know.
I can't always make this meeting, but I'm around today.
The Jason court is in session, and
I'm so kidding. Everyone, also let me introduce Mile, or Mile, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Mile. I'm the lead developer on PeBL Pro. And Judy asked me to be here and help with stuff.
Awesome. Welcome aboard.
Hey, welcome.
Thanks.
Okay, Judy, I'll throw it back at you.
Well, everybody's on video. Let's peer pressure Mile into getting on video.
I don't have a webcam. I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. Everyone at EdgeWorks claims to not have a webcam.
Yeah.
So
We
anyway,
used to do that. We used to do that too, and then COVID hit, and it's like, yeah, you kind of got to get one now.
yeah, my center line is, this sounds like a $5 problem to solve.
Then you won't like that one. And then it'll be a $45 problem to solve. And then you won't like that one. And then you need the boom mic.
And let's see, I put out the call on some other nerdy groups. And so Dunkin said, heck yeah, join in. So I think everybody knows each other. If not,
Awesome.
then...
Can you share the other nerdy groups at some point? I'm curious to know where else.
Various things.
Okay. Just your own list, I see. Well, why don't you go ahead and take us through what you've got up on the screen then?
Okay, let me start over. So yeah, the engineering team confirmed this list of verbs that are used in statements that are emitted by the Pebble library and Pebble content. So I have gone through these and either resolve them to concepts in existing profiles, even if they are profiles that we felt should be deprecated, at least, documented at this point that it resolves to, DoD ISD or whatever. Or I've said, no, this is unique. This is a possible new unique one. Or I've said that this needs some discussion. I actually found some of ours that I felt like perhaps we were using this verb that is already in use, but we're using it in a different way. So I've marked those as needs discussion. And it's possible that we might, that some changes might come out of this discussion. Or I wasn't really sure about how something was being used or why something was there or not there in an existing profile. So the list is not really as long as it looks because there are maybe several things in Pebble that can create, a statement with a certain verb. So this is coming from the Pebble perspective of this thing creates this, a statement with this verb. Although that's appropriate because, like I said, some of the verbs are used by multiple different kinds of things. And I found that there are some different meanings in there. We might want to suss that out a little bit. So then if nobody has any questions, I'll take us through where I think we have resolved concepts and where I think we need some discussion.
Judy, I was just going to ask, out of curiosity, do you have the IRIs for the verbs in this spreadsheet or no?
I don't, because the list appears to be down, and all of the server that the IRIs are on appears to be down. I actually was not able to find. I guess I could have put them up for the concepts as listed on the profile server, but I didn't. So they're the closest thing that you get is the list of the listing of the source profile. Yeah. Right here that it's in.
Judy, if I can.
If somebody wants to put those links in as we go along, I'm more than happy for you to do that. Yes, please, Brian.
I do see the second URL. Let me get into that. Maybe I can. So we were chatting earlier on Slack, and I mentioned I have a database where I pulled the definitions off of the ADL vocabulary server at some point when I was seeing it was unstable. And so I pushed that data out into an Excel file, and I shared that into the chat. So
I'm sorry, I missed your share.
That's all right. That is sort of an updated version of what I gave you earlier. I think the big difference is formatting, and this version is saved with XLS by error. I saved the earlier version in I'm sorry, This is XLSX, the XML version. The earlier version is not. The earlier version is older, and we were talking about this in the CI5 group, and someone had an error when they tried to access it. So we had people join later. Does anybody not see that in the chat? Do I need to throw that again?
It's in threads. Now I see it.
Okay.
It's in a thread.
So I'm talking about the chat for this Zoom as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, there you go. There it is. Yeah, I have not used Torrance's profile flattener yet, and did not get up to speed this week. So that I want to check that out.
Yep. So it's up there if you guys want to see it. Go ahead, Judy. However you want to proceed.
Cool. I wonder if this. Oh well, I guess we haven't published yet, so it won't. But let's see. Yeah. Okay. Oh, by the way, on the topic of actionable data book, I went back and looked at that profile, and seriously, it needs to be thrown right in the trash. Most of the stuff there is just not at anything close to current. So
yeah, it was that was created like 8 years ago before the profile spec was even started. So yeah,
right. So that is confirmed. Okay.
But hey, that would be a good thing to when you publish this PeBL profile, if it's something that can be used by e-readers and other types of ebook applications beyond PeBL, then maybe it'd be a good recommendation to retire out that actionable data book one.
Yeah, in the primer that Brian started putting together and the rest of the team started putting together a couple of weeks ago, we made some recommendations for profiles that probably should be evaluated or deprecated. And I think as sort of a PeBL person, I'm willing to say ADB needs to be on that list for sure. So, and I had thought actually that there was an EPUB or ebook profile in addition to that. I can't find it. Doesn't appear.
That was it. Yeah, that was the only one I've known of.
Yeah.
There was a PDF annotation one, but that was this is the only ebook one I was aware of.
Yeah, that one is risks, and one of our verbs actually resolves to it.
Not really risks. It's the world's now.
Okay. It was published by Risk. It's PDF annotator, as they're told. So, alrighty. So, is it okay? Just on the off chance that discussion of any of these things would be helped by seeing what is actually happening in the activity provider, I'm just going to pull up some demos so that I can have that at the ready. Okay, so I'm just going to go alphabetical. Liked and disliked. So there's a feedback interaction in PeBL that lets the learner say that they liked the content or liked that, a certain segment or didn't. And so liked and disliked are there. I had never heard of the Across X profile. Does anybody know about that, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, that's one that Jessie Chung started years ago with her project. It was kind of it had some e-book type capabilities in it, but it was more of a platform.
Okay.
That Jessie developed in Taiwan. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so now we know. So that's fine. Attempted is pretty standard one. Whoa. Okay. So attempted is used by a number of our interactions, especially like objective questions and assessment. So that resolves to ADL vocabulary, nothing controversial there. Experienced, we try to use as little as possible, but we are using that for whenever content morphs display a certain morph option, or you can think of that as a state. If you use states in any other tools, it's just a state of content. So we do use that. This is the first one, though, that needs discussion. I think that looking at the definition of experienced, I'm wondering, and this is possibly more of a inside baseball thing. So Mile, we're using experienced for completing a chapter. And it seems like the definition indicates that, something came up on the screen, whereas I feel like completing a chapter is probably has a little bit more intent or achievement behind it. So that might be something that we want to think about. And by the way, I'm not like I led the xAPI cohort team a couple of years ago that decided that these would be the verbs. So this is not me calling Mile out at all. This is, me saying I think that we overlooked this. And it seems like this possibly should be changed. Do we have any opinions there?
I would tend to agree. I mean, experienced doesn't really seem to line up with what's actually happening.
So anybody really want us to use experienced there? I know that's everybody's most hated verb, so but I'm inclined to go with completed. Does this seem like an appropriate replacement?
Could be, but it's so broad. Have you completed the book or have you completed the chapter?
Well, it would say in the context, I think, what you've completed, but this is why Mile's here, is to be able to weigh in on things like that.
Yeah, so it would indicate what was completed. But if there's something better, I'm definitely open to that.
Say, has this one been, is this something that's been sorted already? Is there somewhere we can steal the right use?
Well, if I had a list of verbs, then I would be able to look through it a little bit more easily. But yeah, that would be my next inclination too, is to sort of look at, is there anything that seems to be specific to completing a unit or a section or a chapter?
There's
satisfied.
row 100 of Brian's spreadsheet. Chapter is an activity, chapter of a book or ebook.
There we go.
Grab you the IRI for that. To indicate chapter, this statement is related, are used for ebook in cross-X. Oh, so this is apparently again one of theirs.
Cool. Well, now that I know what a cross-X is, that makes sense. So sorry I didn't really finish the work here. I will get this out. So what was the verb again? You said line 100?
It's line 100 is chapter, and then line 101 is chapter. One is activity, one's an extension activity.
But not a new verb.
I believe chapter is the verb. No, that's okay. No, I'm sorry. It's an activity. It's an activity that they have. They're not a verb.
Okay.
Apologies on that one.
So completed. Let's see. The actor finished or concluded the activity normally. So I would be satisfied with that, but I would also be satisfied if there is, like I said, something more specific. Julian, were you saying satisfied? Speaking of satisfied.
Yes. There is a satisfied. I mean, I've used it in some of the stuff that I've developed to say that they've satisfied all requirements to complete a particular module. But that module is part of a bigger one where I was using the completed for the bigger module. That's just what made me think of that, but it may not align with what it is that you're trying to do.
I feel like this to me implies that they did something, whereas finishing a chapter is literally you could just page through and get to the last part of the chapter and it fires. So
red.
Not necessarily red.
Okay.
A chapter could consist of just a media object, or something like that.
Okay.
So I'm clarifying. I'm not trying to shoot down ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Satisfied indicates that the authority or activity provider determined the actor has fulfilled the criteria of the object or activity. That's what satisfied means.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, sure, it could be, it might be applicable, but to me, it feels like it implies something that they did, or that there's
that one kind of carries over from that kind of satisfied. I don't know. I think is that a SCORM verb or a ADL one or CMI5? Okay, so yeah, that one comes from SCORM. That's ADL verbs, which I think usually connotates some kind of score or performance. In SCORM 2004, you had success status and whether they satisfied or something or not.
Okay, I understand.
With a pass-fail. So
right.
I mean, it doesn't have to. You don't have to use it that way, but I think that's historically where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
What about completed?
Like you satisfy the learning objectives associated with something that's.
I'm sorry. What about what?
I was thinking, what about completed as the verb, and then the activity is your
chapter. Right. But yeah, completed is what I would lean toward. I'm just, we have this big list and we have a lot of, experience on this team, and so I'm just pausing to ask, is there something that might fit more specifically than completed? I think completed is fine, but if there's something that is more specific, that doesn't go too far and doesn't imply that they have achieved something other than literally pressing next, then I would we should consider that. But I
guess it depends on if you also want to know if they did not complete the chapter. Do you want to know, or does PeBL kind of track their progress up to the point of completion? If it doesn't, and it's just, hey, they went there, there's only a short number of pages, and you just care about that they completed it, then maybe that's all you want to really track with at the chapter level.
Yeah. Mealy, I know that services does track that because it shows up in the activity dashboard, right?
Well, we track when a chapter is opened, and then we track the individual page turns. So like you could replay kind of what the user did through the xAPI data. But that's about it.
So sort of subtracting, when they've opened a chapter but they haven't completed it, then we're able to see when what's not complete.
I'm not sure if you're interested in this, and I'm not sure what CMI5 does exactly, but SCORM Profile does have a progressed, or it's from the ADL verb list. There's a progressed verb, and you store like what their progress is on a scale of 0 to 100%, where they're at in something. So you could send progressed up into the point of completion as an idea. I don't know if you want to track that granularly.
Progress is really hard because it's a responsive tool. So it's really hard to, indicate progress unless we're specifically putting progress markers into the content. We've observed before, even if, somebody opens a chapter and we know that On most devices, it's going to be 10 pages. That's not going to be the case on everybody's device. So even tracking page turns doesn't necessarily give us completion or progress. It's
I can see that.
basically the least interesting xAPI there is those page turns. Like even worse than the next button in a storyline course, honestly. But it's there, it does it. So we know that they were present doing this.
Yeah, it's hard to know how much someone's progressed in an ebook type of experience because they may have skipped around just because they opened the page or whatever. It's not like you really know how much progress. It's kind of a subjective thing. What is the progress in the book? Yeah, I got you. I hear you.
I mean, exactly. Like even progress reading doesn't really necessarily say much about their achievement or learning. Yeah. All right, I'll leave it as completed for now. And if we want to delve into this further, if there is anything more specific, we can certainly replace it. Interacted, I think these are, physical or virtual assets. And I don't think that anything is terribly controversial there. Opening a book or opening a Pebble is launched. The same thing with opening the library itself. I think those resolve just fine. Logging in and logging out seemed fine. Shared. There are some sharing options in the library, so like sharing an annotation or sharing a highlight. And so that seemed to also be fine. Displayed, I think, was kind of tricky. So how we're using displayed in all of these is, okay, this is your Pebble, your learning experience here. And if you open the table of contents panel or the bookmarks list, I'm sorry, that's the wrong thing. Bookmarks list or the annotations list, you're displaying that panel. So it's not even really displaying content. It's kind of accessing a utility in the reader. And so we have used displayed for that. And the existing definition in the DoD ISD profile is make a prominent exhibition of something in a place where it can be easily seen, like displaying your work, which clearly is not, not how we're using it. So I think we probably need a new verb there. And I'm just for time, I think we might want to kind of go through the list first, and then of all of these that need discussion, and then maybe we kind of break out and talk about what they need to be. Just for time's sake. I know we always run over in this team, and that's totally cool, but I want to get as far as possible. So displayed, I think, needs probably a new verb. Showed, similarly. So we use showed differently. We use showed differently from displayed. We use showed there they were, to indicate when you show content, like in a show hide. So you've selected, you've physically made the choice to show content that was hidden. So we use showed and hide, or showed and hid for those. And similarly, showed came up with a definition that was not that. It was demonstrate or prove, as in I've shown that I fulfilled this competency, or I've shown that I can, weld a joint, or, whatever. We need different verbs for both of those. And I'm not sure that they need to be different.
I was just thinking revealed instead of showed.
Possibly. Is revealed an existing one?
Check that list.
I don't have it on
The answer is yes, it is in there.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I lost my I lost my place in the windows there. But revealed indicates the actor exposed an object or content that was previously hidden, which
Yeah.
sounds pretty darn close.
That sounds.
I was
Yeah.
I was trying to think of using it as a displaying a menu of some kind, but that is
That looks
off
to be
the DoD ISD verbs.
I think that revealed seems totally appropriate for showing the content and in a show hide or a hot word, which is similar, like a glossary hot word, like you click on the link and it shows, it shows more content about that.
Yep.
So I think in those cases, yes, for sure. I'm not sure whether we even need a different verb for revealing, essentially a utility panel. Open question. I don't know.
What would
Well,
then be
those links certainly seem like hidden content to me.
What, like these, like a bookmark list or the table of contents?
Well, I think those are. So the content seems more navigational, but the bookmark list. Yeah, or any kind of references?
Yeah.
Glossary, any kind of summary?
Yeah. So, that kind of is another question here that, like, from a learning perspective, does adjusting your, what you're seeing in the reader really need to be tracked? Like, we definitely do track when somebody accesses a bookmark or uses the table of contents, uses the table of contents or the bookmark or the annotations panel to go somewhere, like when they navigate somewhere. We do track that. Do we really need to track when they're turning on and off when they're adjusting their view?
It seems to me the dividing line might be whether they're accessing something in a document that has been authored and published versus accessing a function or feature of your application.
Right. Exactly.
So
exactly.
For
this is not really
the bookmarks panel, that I don't really think is a learning activity, but using it to refer to other content is the trigger.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am on this. I'm kind of like, if like is turning on the annotations menu any more meaningful than adjusting the zoom? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's about the same. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know that we like to track things, but
no,
yeah,
I don't think
we always preach don't track what we're not going to use.
Exactly.
Don't track what you don't use.
Right.
Do I care if somebody's at full screen or not?
Right.
No, if it doesn't make any difference to me.
As an instructional designer, what does it mean to me that somebody opened up the table of contents and then just closed it again without using it? Not much. I mean, I might want to know that in like a user test.
Yeah, it's familiarization with the application rather than the document. Using the document, and that's the dividing line I was talking about.
Yeah. So we might stop doing those. It's so hard to stop tracking something that you were tracking, but I'm gonna say potentially eliminate on these. Millie, do you have any thoughts there?
I would agree with everything that was said. But with switching to revealed from showed, does hid then still work, or does hid need to be changed as well?
Hid is on here and possibly new. And this is a reason that I really want to use showed, because the interaction is a show hide. It's not a reveal hide. So I mean, I guess we can wade into the discussion of, well, if it's resolving to something in the DoD ISD and we think the DoD ISD profile needs to be deprecated, then can we substitute our definition of showed? Hid, but in answer to your question, hid is potentially new. Like the show hide type of interaction doesn't seem to have been used as an activity. And of course, this got me on the train of thought of we probably need to add a lot of activities, not just verbs, as new concepts, because all of these interactions are kind of set, interaction types in PeBL that are just haven't been used before, haven't been documented before. But anyway, that might be another discussion for later. So I don't know. I'm not sure. But
point out, you were talking about revealed being part of DoD. I think it actually aligns with the cross X that you were asking about earlier.
Oh, okay.
I see it on it's on the spreadsheet I'm looking at. It's line 591, and it looks like the one below that, which is reviewed, shows up as DoD ISD.
Did I make a blurry-eyed mistake? Revealed is here. I'm sorry, Brian. What was that? Were you saying that it was not in DoD ISD?
No, it's not. It's in a cross X.
Well, my bad.
So I threw the details in the chat if you need to copy something.
And that was revealed.
Yes.
Oh, well, you said revealed. Yes. Oh, okay. No, that makes sense. So yeah, revealed. So showed was in DoD ISD.
Oh, okay.
Not revealed.
Okay.
But I'll just note that so that I don't have to come back to it. Okay. Search was fine. Although Jason, I noticed, okay, so search was in DoD ISD and it also seemed to be claimed in the video profile. No, not the video. It was a veracity one though.
Performance support one.
Possibly, like several times. I don't know what was going on there. So I don't know. Annotated, resolved to PDF annotator. It's used in PeBL content pretty much the same way. Completed, we already have here for completing a book or completing a PeBL. Is that a duplicate one? No.
Hey, if I can back up one sec, the searched is shown twice in the ADL list. Once as a more problem-solving activity, and once as looking for information about an object.
Ah.
Right. So if you don't, the look for information about an object is a cross-X, where the DoD is trying to find something by looking carefully.
Good call.
So
I thought that one was
same word, two different IRIs, two different definitions.
Of course, this is not.
Welcome to English. Have a nice day.
Right. Oh, I'm feeling a lot of pressure, with my English degree to get this right. No, I think I got sidetracked on search because I found it in several places. But good call. Yes, this definitely should be the search, the look for information. And so can we, I don't know, can we do that? Can we have like the same word, the same verb, but with two different
IRIs, yeah. There's
IRIs
launched a
okay.
rocket and launched a module.
Okay.
They're two different or the same verb, two different IRIs.
Well, in that case, we could use showed, but maybe, but I think that revealed does capture it. Okay. So actually this one, so you're saying, Duncan, the search in the across X profile seems to be more applicable?
Yes, that's the way I read it.
Searched, looked for information in an object. Mm-hmm. Where's this is in kind of...
Put a link in the chat too. There's a couple other ones out on the profile server.
Oh, yep.
I think that's what I was.
But that one's a good one because it's kind of very general. You know, the more specific it is, and maybe the less applicable it is to your project. But yeah, if you're just talking about searching for something within the application or within Pebble, I think that one's fine.
Yep, looking for a thing in a thing.
All right. Well, Jason, I'll try to hit those links later when either my internet or their servers want to respond. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we have? Failed. We're sure that those are good, I think. Video loading and audio loading, use initialized, which is okay, initialized is used in the SCORM profile. I am not sure that this, I'm not positive whether it needs to be the same IRI for audio and video, but I probably, if memory serves, Jason, that use is in the video profile and references the SCORM profile. So what's being used in the video one is the same. In which case we used the video profile and are using the video player in Pebble. So I'm sure that we adopted what the, what that was already using. It just kind of struck me as, I don't know whether this is the same thing or not. I'm gonna bring it up. But this is, yeah.
Yeah, it is. For the video profile, it uses the ADL initialized for that and for the audio.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're using the video profile within your profile, then you're just going to inherit whatever they adopted.
Well, exactly. And I wasn't positive that was, I was questioning your work, basically. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, it wasn't just me. It was a group of people that worked on that video one for several years. Seems like it was never going to end.
Well, we appreciated it. It made it actually very easy for us to create, xAPI-ified media within Pebble. So thanks.
Yep.
All right, passed from SCORM. Responded. This is social interactions. I think that does resolve appropriately to the definition in the SCORM profile. And Melee, doesn't the file upload emit both responded and uploaded? Am I?
I would need to double check that.
Okay.
Let me get back to that.
Okay. Duncan might also know about that because we did we did a little partner thing with them, but yeah, we might want to look at that. Okay, terminated also didn't seem to have any issues. So accessed, opening a new chapter, I think accessed as it's used in the serious games profile works. Then we have these other things. Basically, whenever you have a bookmark or an annotation or, and I'm sorry, a highlight, not an annotation, a bookmark or a highlight or a search result or a listing in the table of contents, or actually just a link within the content. Actually, Mile, will you note those two? Links in the content and internal links probably use access. I don't see that in the list. So we probably need to check on that. This is more like navigated to than, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a recent profile we published out there with on the profile server. It's the Navy Common Reference Profile, and it's got a lot of those types of interactions like viewed a page, opened a link, within a menu. So take a look at that. You might be able to reuse some of those statement templates and stuff that's defined in there, where there's opening a file, uploading a file, downloading a file, closing a file, viewing a page, printing a page, exiting a page, accessing a menu item, opening a link, linking a resource, or liking a resource and disliking a resource. Those are like something that we define as common interactions that could, we called it a common reference profile because these are things that might be used across all types of content in other profiles.
Is it the Navy assessment profile?
No, it's the
Navy Common. Sorry, here it is.
I'll put the link in the chat there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But if you look at the statement templates, that'll give you a good idea. Like, yeah, click on that tab right there that says statement templates.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
And that will give you an idea of like, those are the templates, those are the interactions. And then if you click on each template, it'll tell you the concept and the activity associated with each one and a sample statement.
Okay. Yes, this definitely has some stuff that that is useful, I think. Also, accessing a menu.
Mm-hmm.
If we ever, decide that we don't, that we really do want to track the opened the table of contents and stuff, this is that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we had in mind with that.
Okay.
Kind of.
And then it also
kind of tracking how deep they got into like the child menu items or sub menu items or whatever you want to call them too.
Okay.
I was just going to point out, Jason, the profile details tab has the PDF in the human readable document.
Oh yeah.
The URL
Okay.
down at the bottom that ends in PDF. Oh, you were there.
It was on the first tab there.
I'm sorry.
She's focused on something else. That's all right.
Yeah. No, I'm like liking a resource, disliking a resource. I'm like squirrel.
The synapses are flowing.
Yes, there are a lot of things. I have a lot of tabs here.
It's very
all right. Okay, so this these accessed. I'm not sure that I would put accessing a menu item for all of them, or at least I wouldn't for following a link or an internal link. But then there's opening a link, or that could be used as well. Neely, what do you think about that? The accessing or accessed menu item instead of accessed for using the bookmark, search result, table of contents, and a highlight to navigate somewhere.
I I mean, that seems reasonable.
I can't think of any reason that wouldn't indicates the acts or navigated to an object. Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. All
And
right.
then opened link for the in content links, I guess.
I would think so. Yeah. For links and internal links, which I know like code wise they're the same, but they're different like types of interactions in Pebble. So that seems right to me. So I'm sorry, what was the okay, so using access as the verb and menu item as the concept name.
And if you want to example of what that looks like too, like this, like what does a statement look like? If you click on the statement template for one of those, and then expand that. Yep.
Sure.
There you go, and then go to like example statement. There you go. And then if you ever want to kind of get an idea of what is required in it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so accessed, but this IRI. Okay, creating a bookmark. This is, I'm ashamed, but it resolves to the tin can vocabulary, so it does. There actually are a couple of bookmarks out there. This is specifically intended to be the learner bookmarked this for future reference rather than they got to this place and just stuck a bookmark here because, or the bookmark happened programmatically because this is the last place they got to. So this is intended to be, you know, they bookmarked this to navigate to back to for future reference. Paused, played, seeked, are taken from the video profile. Wonderful. There didn't seem to be anything indicating completed in the video profile, and I could be wrong.
Yeah, there should be. If you go to the statement templates tab.
Well, I didn't do any of the statement template tabs. Here we go. Here we go.
Yep.
Okay, this was just an oversight then. Okay, cool. So
Yeah, those are actually better to look at than the concepts. I mean, starting off because it pulls it all together.
No, I'm getting there. But yeah, I was just kind of looking for the listings, and you know, the longer I spent in this, the more it was, you know, more I realized just found my way around. And so yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Then hid I didn't find, but again, now that we have just a list, we can see whether that is actually the case. But no, hid itself doesn't seem to be on here. This is just the opposite of revealed. Let me see if there's an unrevealed. That's how we do things. So I haven't, of course, had time to go through this and see, just see whether there's an equivalent. We're happy to use an equivalent.
Exposed.
Opposite from that. Hid. So again, this refers to the show hides, where, well, Now they're shown, and I hide them.
See, I would call that, well, it's like expand, collapse, but that's the, expanding, collapsing the parent item, but you're really showing and hiding
The content itself.
content. Yeah. So that's more accurate, I think. Yeah. Yeah, reveal, hide. That might be a new one that you need to create there.
Yeah. So let's, I think on all of the possible new concepts, we need to look through the list and make sure, because wasn't looking at a full list, but this one might be new. Text feedback, it feels like this was probably something we started using in the early days and never changed the verb.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. I'll show y'all what that is, and y'all can give me ideas if you like for the verb. So this is actually the what we're also using liked and disliked for is this type of interaction. And then this portion of it is the text feedback. If somebody wants to give us text feedback about the learning experience, then they can do that. And I am not in any way wed to this verb. It looks like something we could be a lot more clear about. I haven't gone as far as figuring out what that might be or coming up with a suggestion for what that might be.
I mean, send feedback or submit feedback is probably.
Yeah. Is that already a thing? Do we know? Submit feedback?
I don't know.
Submitted. No, that's not the same submitted at all. Send, maybe? Send. No. There's got to be something in here, though.
Yeah. If not, you can coin one.
Yeah. So all of these, everything where I've listed possible new concept, I'll take a pass at the list and come up with either find one or say, no, this is really possible new concept. Morphed is likely unique to Pebble, but the what's happening here is some of the content is changing state. So, for example, this is it's loading funny for one, so give me a sec. Okay, so if I have a, I don't know why that content block is loading a little bit funny, but basically, based on whatever inputs you put in here, this is serving up different versions of the content. So that's what content morphing is designed to do. And when a content morphing option is just displayed, is just shown on the screen, we use experienced for that. But if the learner actually does something that causes the content morphing state to change, then we use morph to indicate that they have requested a different version of the content in some way. And I have a feeling that, we use morph because, that's our name for the interaction is content morphing, but I'm not at all sure that this is a unique concept. It could be, though. Like, there isn't, I don't know that there's much in the existing profiles that serves adaptive content. So it might.
Yeah,
be.
I was just thinking the exact same thing. I don't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So we'll look for that. If no verbs are just firing on top of anybody's head, we'll go and look, and if not, we'll keep morphed. We'll call it new. Page next and page previous. These are the ones that produce the least meaningful xAPI in the world. But they're there.
Now, one of the things that I'm thinking of, though, is if you get the time that you sent those and subtract it, you can build an average screen time for a page.
Yes, I mean, I'm not saying that we don't want it there, because I do think it's useful just for stuff like that. That, like, if the entirety of the learner's time spent in the activity is like something that you can really tell that they're just clicking next, yeah. Then that is a meaningful thing to know. That's but sort of by itself, it doesn't tell us progress. It doesn't tell us completion. Right. It doesn't tell us anything about learning. But for that reason, I do think it should still be there.
Well, I mentioned the duration thing to ask. Is there another way of capturing that you've seen, some other verb? If not, you have to do the math. You have to pull up, what would it be? You have to pull up next and then go to the previous next and subtract.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know whether there are any. I would imagine navigated is probably in the list somewhere. But I mean, these refer to specific controls in the reader. Right. So, well, I mean,
just to elaborate, that framework also has the challenge of you don't know if they're attentive. They could, click next, walk out of the room, come back in 5 minutes.
Of course, right. So. I feel like it could be used to make a case that someone has not really attended to the learning material or engaged in the learning material, but it certainly couldn't be used to make the case that someone has.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, yeah.
We need some eye tracking involved.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody's looked at that. I mean, I know some of the VR, AR, XR stuff that we're exploring, they're asking those questions too.
There have been eye tracking tools that have been introduced to the industry. I don't know of any that are xAPI based or that report xAPI, but like 10 years ago there were, because, for just that reason that that most e-learning is so meaningless. And I am more on the side of what we need is actually, meaningful interaction and meaningful assessment. But,
I have, there's a, AR/VR developer here close to us, and what they are doing with eye tracking, they started out with art museums, and they would monitor, where people's gaze went to highlight different exhibits, and then they very quickly realized they could do the same thing at Home Depot, and people buy what they look at, and they are selling this AR eye tracking for not marketing, but what's the right term? The display, the merchandising.
Sure.
That's what it is. Merchandising of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and again, useful for user research or user testing. I don't know about learning. Maybe. I don't know. Anywho, PeBL doesn't have it yet. No scope creep in this meeting. Okay, the rest. So annotated, there wasn't one for if you deleted the annotation. So unannotated is meant to serve for that. Noting a highlight, that basically means in PeBL when you take a highlight and add an annotation to it. So I start with a highlight, and then I add a note, and that becomes an annotation, or that's what we refer to as an annotation. I am not actually sure, and I apologize, Mila, I didn't have the chance to review this with you beforehand, but before this meeting, but I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah. So what happens is you get an unannotated when the initial annotation is deleted, and then a new annotated statement is generated that includes the note.
So it okay, so it essentially is saying that annotation before is going away and it replaces it.
Yeah,
okay.
With a new one with a note. Yep.
With a note, right? Okay, makes sense. Because the note goes into the context and all that, right? Or into yep. Cool.
Versus avoiding it, right? Voiding it with.
Right, we're not voiding it.
Why are we not voiding it? No, actually, I see why. It's more specific this way. It's a learner choice, right? Or is
actually, you know what? I don't want to say we're not voiding it because I'm not 100% sure. We might void it. Let me check.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if we do or not with annotations in the PDF annotator. I think I'd have to look.
So annotated is in the PDF annotator. I forgot to go back and note annotation is in here. So we might consider that.
That seems accurate.
Annotation.
Right? I'm sorry. I'm used to thinking of everything as verbs. This is an activity type. So this is actually the note. So
the note on a specific, pulling down and adding a note to a PDF.
So, but there is modified annotation, which also might be appropriate.
Adjusting the position.
Editing the text of a note annotation or adjusting the position.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't specifically speak to deleting, but man, this is the most fun meeting I've had all
I sort
week.
of flew by unannotated because I didn't want to, but I'm on noting a highlight. So maybe possibly consider what was it? Modified annotation. I also probably need to revisit the annotation and highlight ones just because sometime I forget that it's not an annotation until there's a note on it. So we probably need to go back and make sure that is appropriate, that the use of annotate. Well, let's go back and look at it now. The use of annotate is actually appropriate. Did somebody... Sort.
Oh, I saw it. It's up a little bit. A little more.
Why don't you just put your...
yeah, there it is. Wait.
Oh, here we go.
Right, there you go.
Making a highlight. Yeah, in fact, making a highlight is listed as annotated.
Oh.
I think, Mile, I'm not sure it matters that... I think it matters more that we're consistent than we're overly specific about this.
And what you said earlier was making a highlight and adding a note equals annotated.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying that I wanted to go back and make sure that our use of annotated map to that. And maybe I don't know that it matters that we call out whether it's a highlight or an annotation in the xAPI. But I do think we should be consistent internally and consistent with the IRI that it's based on. So Dunkin,
the driver for us on this was the reporting, the display, because you could see the number of highlights, annotations, and underlines on a particular page. The annotations, then you pull the text from to be able to display on a screen, but essentially, you know, there's a graphic for it, but it shows a thumbnail, say, of a page, and if it's got highlights, it's got annotations, it's got underlines, it will have a colored indicator with the numbers. So that's the only reason those are segregated, is because we needed that data for reporting.
okay.
Yeah, the way we have it now, Judy, if you wanted to see straight highlights versus notes, you would have to look deep into the statement and see whether there was any like text in the statement.
We might want to think about that, like whether it's materially different to have a highlight versus an annotation. And yeah. I mean, could we consider an annotation in terms of the xAPI? Could an annotation be just, well, I think it is right now. It includes highlights and it includes highlights with notes.
Right.
And what you're saying is the note is in the xAPI statement embedded. And so you don't really see a difference unless you're opening up the statement.
Right, exactly.
Okay. I mean, I always try to think about like how people are going to query and use the data. And it seems like in most cases you would be able to, let's say you were querying everything with an annotated verb. You probably also are able to query whether, you know, the context includes something, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely doable.
The
It's
note
just
field,
extra
so-
steps for the
Got it.
person querying. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think I'm okay with that. We might do a little bit of user research here. Brian, to your point about doing that first. I don't think that when the profile team or when the PeBL team a couple semesters ago reviewed this, I don't think that it was that they considered that a big deal. But we also may not have been digging in this kind of depth. Okay, so we'll consider modified annotation for that, but probably first need to consider whether we're staying with annotations for both annotations and highlights, or whether we want to switch to highlights for highlights alone. Deleting a bookmark, we went with unbookmarked, which seems new, I believe is new. Then the 4 actions that produce a display or did produce a display verb, we also have undisplayed, just in case we're not producing enough junk xAPI statements from people just customizing their interface. So these will go away if we decide that the display also needs to go away. But there is, but Jason mentioned that there is another one in the Navy Common Reference Profile that might suit instead of displayed. So we'll see if there's an did that too. And then unshared, deleting a shared highlight, or deleting the shared status, I guess, or making a highlight or annotation unshared. And then I found a few that are new in our interactions. I think that these resulted from customizing some interactions and then not specifying what verbs would go with those new possibilities and interactions. And so we need to assign a verb to those two.
So the
and
common
this is
reference profile actually has an upload.
right.
So that
Right.
might be your source for that.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of stuff in the common reference profile. The Navy one, because they also had the menu stuff. And yes, there was uploaded. And so we were going to check, because I think that one of our interactions actually was using uploaded as well. So we might need to check on that. These are social types of interactions that if there's I'm not going to be able to do this because I'm an admin on this account, but there are interaction types that private, no good. There are interaction types where people can report inappropriate submissions. Just saying.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think this exists though. I know that there's a voted up, voted down.
Yes.
That
also
already
in common
exists.
reference.
All right.
And I believe there's reported that goes along with it. I think that's the third in that combination.
Yeah, I would think it would. Seems like
Yeah, I am almost positive there's a reported verb somewhere. There. And they say
Reported. Let me look for that one.
No.
Yes, in DODISD.
Well, why am I not? Oh, it's because I don't know the alphabet. Okay. All right. Got it. Although it is not this.
it's not the right.
Sorry,
That's
it's
not
the
the
other
right
one. It's
verb.
the other one.
But
I'm not sure it's either one of those.
the result of an experience.
The first one is like report out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second is
Oh, there are two. My apologies. Across
Yeah.
those.
Oh, I
And
mean,
Announce the results of experience or activity. So
well, you experienced that you were offended by a comment, and you're reporting that.
yeah.
I would say that this is more this is submitted a response for review.
Yeah, and I think the other thing you're hinting at, I don't know if anybody online was in the cohort presentation today, Izzy, talking about governance. Reporting an issue is a governance
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
action. So that may indicate that we need a profile for that. We might have to point Izzy. Point Izzy
Duncan's
to
not
that.
allowed on that one.
I don't know what you mean.
Yep. All I'm saying is I didn't pick this out specifically. I could have gone to any of these and seen your inappropriate responses. That's all. So
I'm thrilled.
I'm sure it was a random choice.
it was.
I
right.
am using the product though, right?
No, I love it. Actually, these are really cute. Oh, it's not this one, although that's good. This is my emergency evacuation map. This is Dunkin.
Oh.
And if
Dunkin understood the assignment.
I physically
where are
had
you
to go
going?
to a
Tijuana? Oh, that's great. we were joking internally. We needed to add an upvote downvote bit to this thing just because Melee is smarter than everyone. He wants to meet at Costco in case of emergency, and I was like, yep, that actually would be the place to go.
Yep.
You could survive there forever.
You want to get your TP in early, order in early though.
Oh, how funny.
I think people are catching on to that because Costco is actually a identified staging or rally location for emergency response teams.
Oh.
Wow.
I think this needs to be reported as a new verb. What do y'all think? Now that I've already put it in the
submission.
Yeah, I think upload is the exception.
Upload?
Yeah.
So this is reporting.
Did we find it was
what
a
is
different
what do you mean by reporting?
Flagging it.
I can't. Yeah, it's flagging.
So flagging each of those separately. Okay.
Yeah. I can't show you because I'm an admin, so I can't flag things, but I can just delete them straight from here.
Yeah.
But learner, instead of the trash, they would see a flag.
Sure. No. I understand that.
Yep.
Why does the interaction type make a difference, or wouldn't you just have a statement that says reported and then it has a statement reference, right? Because you want the smallest statement possible. Mm-hmm. You don't need anything else. All your context is
in the original uploaded. Or
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Right. So you just step up the chain.
Yep.
I'm really surprised there's not a reported.
Well, I'm not, because even in this space, not many people are doing social learning and user-generated responses, so go us. I mean, even in the government space where, things are being custom coded and everything like that, not everything's being made with Storyline. So, are we really half an hour over? Where did everybody go? Oh, we're half an hour.
I thought the government was
Jason
still
had
on
to drop at 7.
Authorware.
It was really good of Jason to come at dinner time.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not sure
yeah. All right. So we need to. All right. Let me do a little cleanup. This, I'm thinking that we do change to completed, displayed. I mean, do I want it for learning data? No. Do I want it for user testing data? Yes. Which I think more and more is something that people are realizing that you can use xAPI for.
I think hugely. And I got a presentation I can share with you on using xAPI for I think there could be an entire profile on content evaluation, just as a generic catch-all for, all the stuff we want to do.
Are you thinking about that like we hooked up Pebble and VTA to do, where
Oh no, I'm thinking about there are certain times that you want data on how someone is using your content, but I don't necessarily need to have that forever, and I don't want to track all of it long term. And it's really different than the evaluation of learning. It's different than the evaluation of the understanding. It's the evaluation of the content itself, or the path through, looking at the data side. And it could be how long is somebody spending on each interaction. It could be on where people are making annotations and notes, which is what we were doing there. But I think that's a topic that may warrant its entire its own profile at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Topic for a different day.
We've only generated 4 or 5 profile ideas on this call. Are we slipping?
I got 2 of them. What are the other ones?
Well, okay, so you're talking about using xAPI for user testing.
Yep, got that one.
I was thinking you were talking about, so therefore I get credit for this idea, a profile based on evaluation of learning artifacts. Which I'm not sure whether it's there or not. It probably is, because it's probably in either DoD or ADL, because originally this is kind of how people were thinking that xAPI would be used, but it just hasn't. Not a lot of systems and activity providers are using it for that yet. But we've hooked up Pebble with RISC's LRS and LMS to so where they can go in and see user submitted things that were submitted in Pebble, and evaluate them and give them grades and everything in VTA. So evaluation, like expert evaluation types of stuff, there might be something there.
Yeah.
And then what else was there?
So the other one I wrote down was the governance.
Okay.
Apparently the whiskey has kicked in.
There was something, I can't remember where it was, but I think it was something in the Navy Common Reference Profile that I would go back and replace displayed with for user testing purposes. And then replace showing content with revealed. I'll double check on that, but that seemed appropriate. Accessed, was it? I think that there was something in the Navy Common Reference Profile for this too, but having the spreadsheet is gonna help a lot. I was a little hobbled checking this, so completed, no, is good. Resolved to an existing. And then there's kind of a ball of wax on highlights and annotations that we need to work on, and then file upload and open-ended response. Do they emit also an uploaded statement?
I checked and they do not.
Don't? Okay.
They did at one point.
Okay, that must be what it was. That must be what it was. I know that when we were working on designing and building this interaction, we were also working on how it would work with RISC, with another system. And we were going back and forth on where the uploaded file lived. And I had thought that it was, at one point, I think it lived in the uploaded statement, but I guess we changed it. That's cool. Okay, so neither one of those do. Great. And then replace showing content with revealed. Accessed, was it? I think that there was something in the Navy Common Reference Profile for this too, but having the spreadsheet is gonna help a lot. I was a little hobbled checking this, so Okay. So this is pretty close. We still have some existing issues, but I think that this is pretty close in terms of the verb list. And we haven't gone through everything in the template.
No.
But what, huh?
I think what we did was pre-work for that
Right.
by reviewing your list, and hopefully you feel like we've made it further than it was. But unfortunately,
For sure.
maybe we can bring the document up next week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that in terms of team report outs, just solidifying the verb list is good.
Yes, it's a good
We did, I mean, as far as my learning process, I created an account on the profile server, created a working group, did all of those things, started the, creating the profile itself here. And we did the verb list. So in terms of just what we want to do in the next couple of weeks for team report outs, I think that it's pretty good. And we can continue to work on everything else because, of course, it's not just the verbs. Then we have to go into all of the other.
Oh, yeah.
So
the meaty morsels.
Yeah.
Right.
Say, this has been the most fun call I've had all week.
Yeah, kind of me too.
Thanks for inviting. Oh, I'm 3 drinks in at this point.
Maybe that's why.
That doesn't
We should
hurt
level
for
set
sure.
before the meeting. I've still got water next to me.
Hey, it's 5 o'clock here before the meeting starts.
Yep.
That's
I was going to make a joke earlier about like reporting Dunkin's drinking, but I'm not sure there's anyone in the industry that you could report Dunkin's drinking to that would be surprised.
Yeah.
So
And you're good at something, you stick with it.
That's right. All right. You guys have a good
all right.
remainder of the evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for
You too.
inviting me.
Thanks
I
for
enjoyed
joining us,
participating
Duncan.
with you.
Good to see you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
This was hugely helpful.
Oh, good.
Wonderful.
All right.
So what do you see as next steps? Do you think you'll look into the human readable template during your work week or cycle back to it for the next meeting?
I will. My goal for this week is to resolve the things that we still need to resolve with the
Okay.
verbs.
So you've still got work to do on this list. So I
Yeah,
don't mean to
and-
push you. I just want to clarify.
Yeah, sure. And just consume and make sure that I understand what's left of the template because I've the amount of time the portions of time that I've really spent on it this week have been pretty fractured. And so I just kind of want to make sure I'm understanding the rest of the work.
Yep.
And that's going to be a lot easier now that I've gone through the verb exercise and use that as a way to just learn my way around the activity server better. So, yeah.
That might be an opportunity to bring Jason or Izzy in and look at, okay, we've got this verb list. Now, how do we break it apart into what's in the human readable template? And how do we break it apart into what goes into the other pieces, bits and pieces of the profile server? And I'm blanking on the terms, but and I think Jason would say there's parallels between that document and the profile server. But I
would hope so. Isn't this supposed to be reflective of the
Yes.
process you go through on the profile
Yes.
server? Okay. Well, anyway, this is good. This takes us a lot further.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, I'm thinking we could wrap up here and sort of get back to earlier events. I don't.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Brian. Thanks, Mile.
Yep.
Thank you.
Glad you could join us.
Absolutely.